You are listening to Spilling the Tea, a real estate podcast with Kristy Macero and Shelagh Maychek.
Hi everyone, welcome to Spilling the Tea, a real estate podcast with your hosts, myself, Kristy, and Shelagh Maychek.
Hello.
Today, Spilling the Tea with us is why hasn't he opened up a restaurant agent, Dave Bawa, and our amazing horse-loving homeowner guest, Kalyn. Sometimes clients change their mind during the home buying and selling process, and it makes sense. A lot of the time, most of the time. People often start thinking one thing, and then life comes along and changes it for them in an instant. We once had retired clients that we were helping, and I had gone over to their home when they were selling and told them all about going on vacation. I was like, guys, I know I've got your listing. Sheila's going to take care of you, but I'm going to go on vacation with my husband. And they said, where are you going? And I said, well, we're going to go on a cruise. We're going to go down to all these little islands. And they said, oh, we've gone there. We love cruising. So sure enough, I was talking to these senior citizens all about their retired cruise life. And sure enough, by the time I had gotten back from vacation, instead of helping them find another home, they informed us that they were going to move to said island.
Oh, wow.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. So I guess I had kind of...
You sold them a home on an island.
I basically sold them a home in an island because we were going down there and they literally had like photo frames that they had, like photo books and discs of the islands that they had visited for, tourist souvenirs or whatever, of pictures and stuff.
Yeah, so they didn't just change their mind about the city they were moving to, they changed hemispheres.
Yeah, they they jumped ship. And they've since moved back, but it was definitely
Which is also wild.
It is wild. They're back now. Like we helped them find another home, picked them up like literally almost from the airport. Like it was it was insane.
Yeah.
So we got them resettled. They did change hemispheres, and people do change their
minds.
They change their minds on everything. It could be price, it could be product, it could be timing, it could be anything. Life happens.
Or everything.
Everything, or everything.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into that.
Yeah.
Shelagh, when you started your house hunt versus when you ended up purchasing, did you change your mind at all?
I sure did. I really initially had my heart set on a specific style of home. I wanted this many bedrooms up and a den in the front and a basement suite and everything else. That was my plan A. So like a big house with a suite again. And then as a plan B, I was like, I was going to get a BC box style home, like just the 2-level, a little bit older, and I was going to renovate it. And I bought none of the above.
Weird.
Wild.
Oh, strange that happened.
Yeah.
We had a listing once go live, and the seller knew exactly what house I'd taken them out house hunting. They knew exactly the house that they were going to purchase, and we had an offer put in on it. And we had just put up their house on the market because it was that kind of situation where you buy first. Okay, so we had bought first, and we're about to do the final signatures, and we'd put up their house on the market. And we already had 3 showings booked. One person was writing, and just like an hour before their very first showing, the homeowner called and said, Kristy, we have to come off the market. I have a gut feeling, whatever it is, we can't do this right now. And of course, I had done a lot of work. Like I did the photos, the floor plans, the strata documents, like all the house hunting the day before, in a whole different city.
We were so ready. We had everything done.
We were like, the stars have aligned for these people, and they called and they pulled the plug. And I remember exactly where I was standing when it happened because it was so surprising. But when that kind of thing happens, you got to think it's not about you. It's not about your sales, not about anything like that. And I had a great relationship with these people. So I jumped in my car. I went to the nearest corner store and I bought a cake and a lottery ticket. And I went over to their house and I handed them back their house key. And I said, listen, if you win the lottery, let me know. Otherwise, let's resume this another time when you're feeling better. And I gave them a hug, and then I ended up leaving. And it was okay. And the craziest part about this story is a week later, that homeowner lost their job suddenly.
Oh, no.
So if they would have entered into those contracts, it would have been absolutely catastrophic on both a legal level, like a monetary level, like literally an everything level. They would
Yeah.
have been in 2 firm contracts and no way of confirming their employment. Like it would have been nightmare city. So sometimes things happen for a reason. And the cool part is they contacted us later. We ended up using exactly the same photos and the same floor plans, and we sold their home and we moved them, and they're very happy. They're very happy. So it was the right thing to do, because at the end of the day, it's not about us, right? So enough about that. Let's get into some tea spilling, shall we? Kalyn, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, good. Awesome. So scenario 1,
Okay.
you've seen an excellent home at an affordable price point and in your preferred neighborhood. The stars have aligned. You know it's the right place for you, and you decide to put in an offer that day. The sellers have decided that they will hold multiple offers due to the level of activity. Now, if anyone's been in the housing market in the last 5 years, they know, like, this is a scenario that happens. It happens. It totally happens.
Yeah.
You figure, not a problem. You're going to write strong. You're going to write along with 10 other offers. And all night you're anxiously waiting by your phone. Kalyn, have you ever been waiting by your phone before?
A few times.
A couple times.
Yeah.
A couple times. But only to receive a notification that the sellers have changed their mind. They're rejecting everything and they're deciding not to sell at all. The house will be coming off the market. Okay, so anyone who's not watching, Kalyn just shut her eyes and was like, oh my gosh, that would be devastating. What would your initial gut reaction be to hearing news like that?
I'm a very emotional person, not a logical person, and so I'd be really upset. Like when I go into a house, I'm picturing where the Christmas tree's gonna go, where my bench is gonna go. Like
You're moved in,
I'm
mentally.
You're decorating.
moved in.
Yeah.
I'm moved in.
You're
We've
committed.
gotten the house and I moved in. So if that happened, I would definitely be,
Just
pretty upset.
choked. Yeah. I understand. I mean, agents would be choked as well. So if you go into a home and it doesn't work out for you, do you let that experience kind of taint the next house? Like, do you always refer back to that house, or do you just like a breakup, like it is cut, it is done, there's no emotional scarring? Or is it like the ex-boyfriend that follows you around? Like what?
It's the ex-boyfriend.
Okay.
that follows you around. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything gets compared. Everything.
The one that got away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that can be
Hard
really
time letting go.
that can be really damaging, hey? Because if you see something and then you think it's going to be your home and you've already moved in and then it can't be your home, that can really, really suck. Oh, okay. Dave, have you ever been surprised by a seller changing their mind on offer day or at some point in the listing process?
Surprise, yes, of course. Also, no, at the same time, because it happened so many times, I would say, over the last couple of years, post-pandemic, especially like during 2021, during the height of it, because the stakes were so high.
Right.
But I always remind clients, like, we are in a free market. No one has to sell their home.
Right.
This is just the benefits and downfalls of a free market, as people are allowed to do what they want. I just feel like as North Americans, we're very used to consumer culture. It's on the shelf, therefore I can buy it.
Right.
But it's not this case with real estate. So, yes, sometimes I share some thoughts with the listing agent about what my views on the whole thing is, but that's it. But it's, as a professional, I at the end of the day, have a glass of water or something. Okay, well, it is what it is. What it is.
Right. So you wash it down. Yeah. Kalen's like, I'd be drinking something.
Water
wrong.
before I call my clients. Once
Yeah.
I've spoken to them, maybe the beverage changes.
I
Right?
love it.
Something else after.
I like it.
Yeah.
So have you ever had to deliver that kind of news to a buyer saying that the seller has changed their mind?
I have.
Yeah.
I have. However, I have a mindset of, and I'm speaking individually to how I work, depending on where they're buying. One of the areas I focus my business is in Langley. Willoughby Heights, for example, you can find a lot of the same house. So it's like, hey, if you really like that style of home, I'm sure we can find it for you again. Will it maybe have that same tone of paint? I don't know, but we'll find you the paint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll do what we can to make it. We'll do what we can to recreate it for
Yeah.
you. Right?
Like, great news, 200 meters east.
Yeah.
There's another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So without obviously naming any kind of like brokerages or anything like that, because we have to keep this podcast super clean.
Sure.
Have you ever had a situation where the sellers decide they're not going to take any offers and they're going to jack up the price another $200K?
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. It happens a lot more in this market, I would say, post, when the interest rates had gone up, whatever. So it happens, and it's like, again, it's one of those situations that you have enough experience. I've been doing this for 10 years now, so I can kind of smell when that's going to happen. I can look at a list. Every time I talk to a client, they say, I saw this listing, send it to me to give me the MLS number. You have the same access as I do pretty much. Right. I'll just look at a listing, read the brokerage, read the realtor, and I'm like, okay, that's good. This is going to happen.
There are games afoot.
Yeah, there is.
Suspicion.
There's some things, right? Like there's certain patterns you can pick up, different neighborhoods and the way things are presented usually, what the market is doing at the time. A lot of those things are key indicators as to you can kind of get what the seller's expectations are going to be. But that's why realtors exist, right?
Yeah, so I had a horrible situation when I was buying. We found this house. Sure, it was trashed, but the layout was great. Like, it was at the right price and
decorated really well.
Right?
It was decorated beautifully.
It was decorated great. No, it was quite the house. But we liked it, and we wanted to put in an offer. And the day that I put in an offer, and we were so excited, we got a call from the realtor, and the realtor said, hey, this home's coming off the market and it will be represented by a different agent. My client just fired me. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, I'm so sorry to hear that happened to you. When is it coming on? And he goes, believe me, he goes, he has to sell. It will be coming on.
Oh no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Supposed to say
I know. He's okay. So
he was mad.
There's literally a course about that at UVA. I just took it last year. There's a whole course around that exact scenario. He's the guy they made the course about.
It's for you.
So
that is absolutely terrible.
So you're not supposed to disclose anything, but he literally said that. You can hear it in his voice. He goes, "But this guy has to sell. Just hang on. It's coming." And I'm sitting there going like, oh my God. Yeah, I was like, okay. But I was also really happy because I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
So I hung out for like a month. We didn't go see any other houses. Nothing really came on anyway. And we weren't in a rush. So that was really good. And then when it did come on, I had called the agent and I said, hey man, this is going to be the easiest sale of your life. I'm going to send you an offer right now of it going live within an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I knew I wanted it.
Time to shine.
Yes.
Bam.
And sure enough, when we sent our offer in and we got it back countered at more than a reasonable price, we thumbed through the whole offer, going like, what's wrong with the what else did they cross off? What else did they cross off? But the man did need to sell. There was like 3 mortgages leaned on the house. There was pending litigation. It was messy. Yeah. So we obviously that title was not. It wasn't like it is now where we have to put the title up front.
Yeah.
But that agent, by kind of leaning into the phone and being like, he has to sell, just hang on. Yeah. So it was a different experience for me. And I'm really happy that we ended up getting the home. And actually, Kalyn, we stopped a house sale when you were going to buy.
Sure did.
Yeah. So Kalyn wanted to buy a house that was an owner-builder home, and there was multiple offers, and Kalyn and her husband are calling me saying, I want to make an offer on this house, and I'm like, you can't. No one can. And we're getting these messages, and they're like, the house is, offers at 3:00, and then it's like one offer in, and I'm sitting there screaming at the top of my lungs, he can't sell this house. He can't sell this house.
Because he's missing a required document that buyers have to see before they can write an offer. Like, they can legally not accept an offer before someone's seen this document.
They literally can't sell it without it.
Oh, wow.
And of course, Kalyn and her husband are like, why are you the only one who knows this? And I'm like, I don't know. So
I just took a course on this.
Yes, I'm like, I did it last week. I know, I took the course. Dave, the education.
I know about the owner-builder thing, but I forgot that they have to show you the certificate first.
Yes. Yeah.
But all I know is that they have to purchase a home warranty for you. Essentially, you have to put up some money in like a trust account. Long story short,
well, that's why there was confusion because the listing agent kept saying, "Oh, my seller says they have it, they have the document," but we hadn't received it, we hadn't laid eyes on it, and
wow.
It was a bigger name selling this home, and I was like, oh my God, and sure enough, like managing broker had to get involved because I'm sitting here going, I'm trying to represent my client. I've got technically a drafted offer in my inbox that I can't hit send on. And sure enough, we got a page, after managing broker got involved and it was like, offers canceled.
Attention all people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everyone.
We will be rescheduling offer date.
Yeah.
And I got a call by the realtor. And I was like, this guy's going to hate me. I just totally destroyed his multiple offer situation. But he actually called and he thanked me because it would have been a major lawsuit if that paperwork wasn't done.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we got lucky, but I felt really bad. And we did wait for it to come back on. Anyways, enough about that. Kalyn, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, I got a scenario for you. Ready?
Okay.
Here we are. You and your husband are house hunting. You aren't sure if you're going to renovate an old home. You're not sure if you're going to build a custom home on a piece of land. You're not sure if you're going to work with a builder. No matter what you come across, the pieces just don't seem to be falling into place. When suddenly you get the opportunity to buy your dream home off market. No competing offers, but no option to have your agent involved. What is the first thing that you do?
Wow, this sounds so familiar.
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, that did happen exactly to us. We dragged Kristy and Shelagh all over the Lower Mainland to tear downs, to swamps that we thought we could build on, to
We saw some variety.
Oh,
I
it
saw
was
some bear
crazy.
poo.
Yeah.
Definitely some
Yeah.
haunted houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did.
And and then this opportunity came up. And it was terrifying. And we had actually gone to an open house to make it worse. We'd gone to an open house that morning to a house that we actually liked. And we were like, oh my God. And the same day is when we
Had an
went
opportunity
to go look at this other house.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my God, we could totally screw ourselves here by going for this private sale and not offering on this one that we also quite liked. And then, the ball got rolling and we were getting excited, but there was also a lot of, obviously, fear, right?
It's a huge purchase.
We totally depended on Kristy the whole way along, just sign here, sign here, sign here. Just, trust me, we're good. And we had complete trust in her. And so we didn't have that anymore. And that was really scary. And there was also a lot of guilt, right? From dragging everyone around.
Her husband
loves us.
Her husband called me and is like, we've got this opportunity and it's private and he doesn't want a realtor involved. And I'm like, dude, I can't get you this place. Go for it. Put yourselves out of your misery, because we had done 2 years,
2 years
of trying to find the right thing. And there were so many things that went wrong in that 2-year period.
Yeah.
And I mean, we did. We went into bear territory, and I was like, I'm like, good. These guys are her husband will keep me safe. I was like, I trust that he will.
You walk first.
Yeah, he'll defend me from a bear. I thought he would anyway. Maybe not. Are you listening? No. But yeah. So and we had a situation with a builder that didn't pan out because the builder had just
Swapped from custom build to just saying
spec houses.
Yeah, spec houses.
And just completely
Wow.
Collapsed all the contracts.
just a totally slimy.
So this guy just didn't want. He just said flat out no to you being represented.
No, this was a lot.
Yes.
And he
built it up for you.
We got in when the market was still somewhat reasonable.
Yeah,
And
but the home she ended up purchasing on.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one
That was like a bit we'll build it out for you.
No. That's the private deal where it's no realtors.
I just refuse to have you being represented by your legal representation.
Basically, yeah. So they
Was he licensed? She licensed?
No, I don't think the
No.
seller that you were dealing with was licensed.
They just wanted to all go
Actually,
through the
don't even
lawyers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just wanted to. They didn't want to
Okay.
probably pay real estate fees. It was a very expensive
Yeah.
home, right? So
Very unique home.
yeah, very, very unique home. So that did happen, and I love the story because even though it was 2 years of complete, we
was a
learned
roller coaster.
We learned a lot. We learned about
Yeah.
we learned about lots. We learned about creeks. We learned about swamps. We learned about builders.
And setbacks and hills and
Paperwork.
riparian reports. And,
Yeah, right. Yeah. What? Sorry,
Yeah.
what was that?
Oh, just all the the follow through with the that little piece of paper from the owner.
Oh
book.
yes, the
Yeah.
Was a learning
homeowner
curve.
paper. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a lot. We created some memories, I want to say, but obviously we're so happy for you.
Yeah.
Dave, have you ever gotten the call that your client found a home that wasn't on MLS?
Many times.
Okay. And what do you do? What's the first thing you do?
I contact the seller after I know what my buyer, if my buyer wants it. Obviously, we do have a natural vetting process, right? I get those calls because I represent some developers and whatnot,
Right.
So like developers, builders, typically just the Punjabi community is heavy into renovations and building and buying stuff off market and that kind of thing. So just naturally with the territory, right? So I'm just well versed in directly approaching a seller, being like, I'm not representing you, I'm representing a buyer. Here's what it is. Here's brass tacks on my commission. Did you want this deal or not?
Right.
And you have the option of getting your own representation. Highly recommend it. Here's 10 names that from my brokerage, different brokerages, and you can pick. Or if you have your favorite realtor, maybe get them on the horn. And some will say, I don't really care about having representation once they've signed off all their disclosures, and I've done my job and due diligence on trying to get them to get their own representation. But otherwise, they go for it, and some say, Bob Smith from 123 Realty is going to call you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had it both ways. I've had both situations pan out that way.
And how many deals like a year would you say are off market?
Probably like last year was a lot actually, but I would say on average probably 3 to 4.
Okay, that's
yeah, 3 to 4
awesome.
deals a year off market. I would do with building lots or tear downs or all of those things you mentioned.
Yeah.
Setbacks. And
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
development land, like that kind of thing.
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fantastic. So ultimately at the end of the day, like if you've got a client who's looking for a home and it's off market, that's all right. That's okay. It doesn't mean that you have to be involved or that person owes you anything. At the end of the day, it's their house. It's literally the house that houses their family. This is their dreams. And I remember the day that you got the keys for that, and we were there with our basket, and you guys took me on the tour, and I'm like, this is exactly what you wanted, and you were like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Everything is for sale, right? So
Yeah.
well, it is and it isn't, right? I would always say that every time I sit down with buyers, I go, look, if we just cannot find you what you want, I will find you the home you want. Point it out on the street, and at least I'll have a conversation with the seller for you. Because, we are licensed to trade real estate, and at the end of the day, we just have some disclosures and things that we legally should be making, but most people have their own agent, and sometimes opportunity knocks at your door. Literally, it's sometimes in the form of Dave Bawa, and then along with it comes an offer, and then they call Bob Smith from 123 Realty or Kristy Massaro, and on goes this
Off
thing
to
of
the
ours.
races.
I have to tell this story quickly while you're talking, because like I've known Dave since like the dawn of real estate time for me. Like
We did a post licensing course
we were
together.
literally in the same post licensing course. Like we're in it to win it timeline wise. So, but the other day in a group chat, I want to say it was maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah.
You said that you were door knocking and you kind of came across the situation where someone said that they had a realtor, and he said, well, do you know a realtor or do you have a realtor?
Yeah.
And I thought that was just the most brilliant line I've heard in years, because everybody knows a realtor, but it might not be that person that they call. So for you to knock on the door and bring that offer and say like, hey, do you have a realtor? Because maybe they have one or maybe they just know one,
Yeah.
right?
Sure. It just frames it differently.
It
In
does.
someone's head, they go, well, actually, no. Like, I've never had a communication with that person. And here's Dave Bawa in the flesh.
Yeah.
I think in this situation, like obviously Kristy did everything that she could to help you, and this was like a one-off opportunity where like you couldn't say no. I would do the same thing if I was in Kristy's position. I'd say like you need to go for this, because at the end of the day, it's a relationship that matters.
Yes.
But in certain times, like if someone hasn't called you in 3 years to tell you about your property, you might want to give the guy at the door like 5 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? Like considering like it sounds like the guy at the door might have 5 minutes of information that might be helpful to you. And you may still call the other person to kind of have your back and read through the paperwork, because the public is not licensed to read through this paperwork. But at the end of the day, it helps you kind of understand what the opportunity is and kind of evaluate if it works or doesn't work.
Totally. Yeah. Okay, that's so awesome. So just to sum up the day, it's about the right home for the right people, period.
For sure.
Right? And sometimes sellers change their mind. Sometimes they have a gut feeling. Sometimes it's completely like, oh my gosh, so glad that they didn't sell. Sometimes you have one like the ex-boyfriend that follows you around and it's baggage, as you go from house to house because you're thinking about the one that got away. I've had situations where I've had to wait for the home to come on. And like Dave said, I shouldn't have known all that information, but it really did help.
Happened to me. That's how we bought our home. I did an open house at the house that me and my wife live in now. I did an open house for another realtor in 2015 or 16 when it first got listed. And I told my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, hey, I found this house that eventually when we get married, this would be a great home for us. And then she found it on the MLS. No. We worked together, right? Me and my wife worked together.
Yeah.
So she found it and goes, this is a really cool house. We should look at it. And then we went and looked at it. And then when I was standing there, I was like, yo. I was like, this is that house. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, this is that house. And I told her. So it was a total
I love
perfect house.
that.
Perfect
That's a great story.
I love that so much.
I was like, we're not gonna buy this house. Like, I just was like, whatever. Like, we'll go and check it out.
Yeah.
When I got in there, I was like, I remember these orange walls. Our walls were orange. But I was like, I remember these orange walls and I remember these brown cabinets.
Yeah.
And that was that.
It's interesting when you walk into a house and know, because when we walked, Kalyn, when we eventually came into your home, I knew it was your home. Mm-hmm. Like I was like, this is exactly what you were looking for.
Yeah.
Like what a beautiful ending, right? Mm-hmm. Just like what a beautiful ending to like 2 years of trials and just challenges.
Yes.
And it's great. This is why I love this business. It's fantastic.
Likewise.
So of course our advice is always use an agent where you can, but if you can't, your agent should be supporting you no matter which way you go, because it's people over the transactions, no matter which way the wind takes you. So that's all the tea spilling today, folks. We'll do our cheers to end this awesome episode. Go teams.
Thank you for listening to Spilling the Tea, a real estate podcast with Kristy Macero and Shelagh Maycheck.